you already know, but character, personality, self-worth, self-esteem, self-importance. And I can tell you, girls, when a man loves a woman, and it starts with your small son, ladies, it starts right there. He gives us access to his self-worth. He does. His ego. He gives us access to that. It is a huge element of a man's purpose in life. And we as women start feeding that ego to our young boys. And they thrive on that. We praise those young boys, don't we? But why can't we praise our husbands? They need that ego fed as much as the young boy does. And how do we feed it? And how do we feed it? That is so important. Are we giving it nourishing morsels? Or do we feed it bitter seeds of nagging, criticism, and insignificance? Not so much with our young boys, are we? We're protecting those buddies, aren't we? Yeah, they're our prized possessions, our sons. We love them. But when we get those husbands, someone else's sons, we kind of do it differently, don't we? We kind of do it differently. Do we beg for it to come? When he steps in and leads, do we beg for that? From our husbands, we want you to step up and we want you to lead the family. But when it does, then we snatch it back and we decide that we can do it much better. Now, I know that probably every one of you within the listening shot of me today are guilty of damaging your man's ego at some point. It may not be a habitual thing, but you are guilty as charged of damaging your man's ego at some point in some level. I can tell you, I have been guilty of that even recently. And man, if I could just kick myself in the rear end if I could fit my foot around there to do that, because I know when I've done it and it makes me, I'm like, why did I just do that? Why did I even just say something like that when he's trying so hard? And I just, I didn't encourage. I discouraged, or I just didn't praise it in the right way. Well, let's consider the very same question about our man's spiritual ego, because it's valid today. It's valid. And you heard it from Gordon. It's valid. Spiritual ego, it goes a long, long way when we feed it the right words. We'll be back. Don't go away.
WFIA, The Spirit.
Shakes and scallops, roofing, shutters and gutters, soffit and fascia, vinyl sidings, doors, and yes, windows. Along with their attractive merchandise and professional installation, they also have an incredible peace of mind lifetime warranty. Yep, from the date of installation, Window World will be there to service any defects in material or workmanship. Now that's the kind of people I love to deal with. Call Window World today at 502-671-7777, 671-7777, and visit their website at windowworldlouisville.com.
Let's face it, the college search process is confusing. I wanted a small university where I could live on campus and enjoy the city. When I visited Spalding, I knew it was right for me. They helped me figure it all out, even helped me with financial aid and scholarships. Now I'm here living on campus, have a great group of friends, professors who care, and I'm part of a community that wants me to succeed. I know Spalding is right for me. Check us out. We might be right for you too.
This is Albert Mohler for Townhall.com. California's recently passed assisted suicide law officially has now gone into effect. The Golden State is the fourth state to have such a law, and now 16% of the United States population has access to assisted suicide, up from 4%. It's a huge moral shift for the country. One of the most important articles about the event came from Kathy Lee Grossman in Religion News Service. She writes that one of the main goals of assisted suicide advocates is to normalize what they call aid in dying. What does normalize mean? It means establishing a new norm, in this case, a new moral norm. In the past, the Judeo-Christian worldview informed the norms of Western civilization. Now we're living in a secular age, and it is human autonomy that is at the very top of the norming influences in our society. Sadly, we are normalizing physician-assisted suicide. I'm Albert Mohler.
Learn more at townhallreview.com.
Is your business outgrowing its current facility? Well, maybe it's time to build on your dreams with commercial building plans from Better by Design, the choice of over 140 builders.
Hi, I'm Andy Birdsall with Riverbend Financial. When we were looking for someone to help us design a new office space, our builder recommended we talk to Bob Leonard at Better by Design. The experience was fantastic. He was very flexible and very easy to work with. In fact, we had such a positive experience on the office that when my wife and I decided to build a house, we went right back to Bob to help us with the process.
Plans that are professional and accurate. Whether it's a commercial or residential building, custom plans, or builder-trusted stock plans, it's always Better by Design. Log on now and see some of the plans that were actually built. Go to bbd-plans.com. You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Spiritual ego is our topic today. And we are just plowing through this. If you would like to call at any time and join in on the conversation, Gordon has certainly challenged you to do so, and I would encourage you as well. 571-2428. You can validate what I'm saying, or you can, say, Joyce, you're not right. You're off the beaten path today, girl. And no opinion is wrong on this show. But, I was telling you the meaning of ego, specifically, character, personality, self-worth, self-esteem, self-importance, and how are you nourishing that? Because a man's ego is very, very important. Well, the same thing goes with a man's spiritual ego. Words and how we say them to our men are key ingredients into feeding his ego. If we send him a message that's irresponsible, of course, he's going to be wounded. And when someone is wounded, they recoil. They pull back. They try not to go back to that place again because they don't want to be wounded again. Well, spiritual ego is kind of something, and as I said at the beginning of the show, if you have not developed a spiritual ego, then you cannot blame your spouse for damaging that spiritual ego. Now, she might damage your ego, but she's not damaged your spiritual ego if you have not developed one. So why is that important? And is there really such a thing? Well, let me just tell you, I believe that Deuteronomy pointed it out to us to start with, that men should have a spiritual ego. Why do I know that this is a man? Because let me tell you, in the old days, they didn't talk to women, they talked to men. Women weren't even counted in children. They weren't even counted in the numbers. Men were just automatically the leaders of the home, and they were the ones who, were passed the baton from time to time, from generation to generation. The men stood up and led the family. Deuteronomy 6:4-9, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them upon your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk